Good morning.
Good to see you on this this lovely Hollywood morning.
Hollywood.
And over the weekend we saw the new Spider-Man movie.
We did. We're not going to ruin it for you guys.
No
Don't worry.
spoilers. No spoilers.
We're going to talk about it, but we're not going to ruin it.
We're talking about Spider-Man too, because
Yeah.
I love Spider-Man. I'm a massive Spider-Man fan.
Yeah, I like Spider-Man.
Yeah?
I just very recently got into the MCU because of my lovely old roommate, Christine.
Thanks, Christine.
Who might pop in at some point, maybe.
Yeah, where are you, Christine?
Yeah, Christine.
Come talk about Spider-Man. Were you into Spider-Man at all before MCU stuff?
I saw the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
And you thought?
I liked it. I was a kid. I don't know. I'm not an action movie fan. You show me a
Right,
lot of
I
action
do.
movies, and I enjoy the ones you show me, but I will never, choose
Yes.
to watch an action movie.
You're more of a 25 hours of Grey's Anatomy type.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
30 hours of Grey's Anatomy and a little,
Oh, Milkman is playing Battlefield 5.
Battlefield 5. Let us know how it is.
Yes, enjoy the battlefield.
If you hang around for a little bit, Casey's going to play Fortnite
Yes.
for the first time in his life.
Yes. We're just chatting a bit to let our brains turn on, and then we're gonna go into our special segment, Casey Katsaris, Fortnite Virgin.
I've played Fortnite here and there. I'm just not great at it.
Well, then you can't do this segment because the segment is Fortnite Virgin, and I have never played.
I'll just leave.
I've never played a lick of Fortnite at all.
funny.
I downloaded it on my PlayStation and then just never got around to it. And I did see the clip of the what's the name of the Marshmallow Head man DJ?
Oh, Marshmallow.
Marshmallow, just Marshmallow?
I think so.
Wow, real creative.
Well, it's not Dead Mouse because Dead Mouse
No,
is
Dead
the mouse
Mouse
head.
has the mouse head. Yeah,
I think it's Marshmallow.
just Marshmallow. Well, hey, look, I love marshmallows, so I guess that's okay. Hi, Pip. So yeah, we're gonna be getting into Fortnite later, but yeah, Spider-Man. Well, first of all, the movie, just non-spoiler thoughts. I thought it was great. I loved
thought it was great, too.
I thought it was very true to the spirit of Spider-Man.
Definitely a fan.
Oh yes.
High five.
Big fan high five. Big victory lap for the fans. Lots of fan service. And and I also without saying where, I love where things are left off. In the end. I'm excited to see where Spider-Man goes from here.
It's a great setup. Life is good right now. Yeah, Milkman wants to know how's life.
Hey,
Life's
Milkman.
fine.
It's great.
I'm personally dealing with severe bouts of insomnia and have been for the last few weeks.
Yes.
So I'm a little sleepy, but
Yeah, Zoe's working on sleeping.
working on sleeping would
She's
be
getting
so nice.
Getting better all the time.
Oh yeah,
Right?
I've been getting better for 27 years.
Yeah, just like maybe another 27 years of practice,
and then I'll be able to sleep.
you'll be good at sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, life's pretty snazzy. We're having an awesome time streaming.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Happy
We had
to
a fun
have-
spooky stream last night, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, we had a little spooky stream last night.
Spooky stream interrupted by Little Nightmares 2 deciding to update itself before we opened it.
Yes, indeed. And Pippi. And something else I always that fascinates me about Spider-Man is that he's one of the most popular characters on Earth, one of the most recognizable.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's basically like SpongeBob, Spider-Man, and Jesus.
No way.
It's something like that. Yeah, like the most
more than Superman and Batman. And...
Oh yeah, I mean Superman and Batman are very recognizable, but SpongeBob is one of the tops. Like SpongeBob is so massive.
Well, SpongeBob's amazing.
Yeah, and Spider-Man. Well, I think part of it is iconography, and that Spider-Man just is like. That's one of the things I love about Spider-Man is he has got the best costume.
He does have the best costume. It's a really good costume.
What other hero has such a sort of off-the-wall costume design that also people love? I love Batman a lot, but it's just a...
What's really interesting to me is the development of costumes over time for a lot of superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always very interested to see where they go.
Yeah, they can get real silly. I love just perusing '90s era comic hero costumes, where everybody had their junk hanging out and they're covered with pockets.
Oh yeah,
love that look.
Oh yeah.
Someday I'll get a suit covered with
like
pockets.
Elf. Elf. That was the only thing I ever noticed watching Elf was his penis.
Wait,
Elf with Will Ferrell. I know that's not a superhero costume, but you said junk hanging out, and that was the first thing I thought of.
The first thing you think of.
The first thing I thought of was Will Ferrell's junk.
Junk hanging out.
Is Elf.
The holiday classic. Elf.
It is.
Oh, did somebody say Dick? Yeah, I've seen Elf. Oh, yeah, we've all seen Elf. But Spider-Man's costume is just so fucking cool. It's the color scheme, the contrast. He's covered with webs, which should be silly. It seems so silly, but somehow it's awesome.
It's funny because arachnophobia is such a thing, and the most recognizable superhero is a freaking spider.
Yeah, people see his and the other thing is he's the most recognizable hero, and everyone or one of the most. Everyone knows the old cliche that with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And big reason why I love the character, because I think that philosophy is a really excellent one for real life. Mm-hmm. And but what is so fascinating to me is how a character can be so popular globally. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows his philosophy. Mm-hmm. With great power comes great responsibility, and yet almost no one emulates Spider-Man. Almost no one. Oh, wow. Milkman says it's killing the Japanese while listening to us is strange. That is strange. Oh, yeah, yes.
That is strange.
Leave it to Battlefield 5, I guess. But yeah, no, with great power comes great responsibility is basically Spider-Man is a leftist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that far off from from each according to their ability to each according to their need.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is basically going around preaching communism and everyone's like, hooray!
People are eating that shit up.
And then when people are like, hey, maybe we are nicer to poor people, maybe we're a little more generous with people in need, everyone's like, no. That's Spider-Man's job. Only Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He can do it all. He can just shoulder the weight of the world, sacrifice his wants and his needs. Let Spider-Man take care of it. I mean, it's very similar to, across the board. So many of these big, pop culture properties are so lefty in their philosophies. And somehow, I was having an argument a few months ago with a neighbor. Not a big argument, but
oh, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was a neighbor and the topic of, everything going on with the pandemic and rent relief and eviction moratoriums and all this stuff came up. And I was sharing with her that, I think in the long run, the best thing for society would be to not have rent and landlords anymore. It's certainly not something to be done overnight, but I do think it's something good to work towards.
Right.
And she was pushing back and everything. And this is someone who loves Star Wars, who was working on a Star Wars production at the time with Disney Plus. And just loves Star Wars. And I'm like, don't you know that Star Wars is a story of violent leftist radicals tearing down a right-wing fascist regime? Have you not noticed?
Yeah.
Isn't that strange?
It was a little similar to the conversation I had with my parents about Squid Game.
Yeah. Tell everybody about.
So sorry, Mom and Dad.
Oh, it's fine. Be nice.
Yeah, it's just so very clearly an anti-capitalist story.
Yeah,
and it's
blatantly.
It's not even covert.
No, one might even call it ham-fisted. But I love that. Sometimes I want a ham-fisted analogy.
But yeah, and then I was like, oh, my sister had a question about it. And she was like, what crazy person would make this story? Oh, this is so crazy.
Who would think of this? Sicko.
That's literally the word she used. She said,
Sicko?
what sicko? Come up with this
I know
story.
our sister.
And I was like, well, it's metaphorical. It's a metaphor for the illusion of choice in a capitalistic society.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, it is not that simple. I was like, no, it's not simple. It's really not simple. It's all it is. And yeah, I think it's really interesting that it's such a widely respected TV series.
Oh, a huge
and the right-wingers also love it.
Yeah.
And are using it the same way that they use other sound bites and things.
It's really fascinating, the way somehow right-wingers just are able to love left-wing pop culture.
They
block half their eye.
I don't think that the ideology really is what's making people angry on the right. I think
one of the big things is that Democrats are not great.
Democrats are all no.
You can't blame it all. I get why Americans are really fed up with liberal Democrats because the last 30 years they've made a lot of promises and haven't kept them. When I was a kid in the 90s, like everyone was so stoked on the Clinton administration while it was happening in my little, elite Manhattan bubble. But the more I learn about the Clinton administration for Americans at large, I mean, no wonder people don't like the Clintons so much.
Two sides serving the same position.
Milkman says a police officer must be the best thing in the superhero world.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah, like they just relax.
I'm trying to think of a superhero movie where the police actually help.
No, they generally just like look around like, oh, what's happening?
Like,
and then
better
they go
call
like,
the superhero.
They go like, hey, you, what are you doing? Are you superhero? And they're like, hey, I'm saving the day. And they're like, all right, I'm sorry. But yeah, if you're gonna go to a superhero world ever, make sure you're a cop, and then you can relax.
Do anything.
Well, the supers take care of everything. Although actually, I don't know if anyone in chat has ever read. There's a great Batman comic. I think it's called Gotham PD.
Okay.
Gotham Central.
Yeah.
And it all takes place from the perspective of cops in Gotham City.
Interesting.
And what's it like for them having to work in a city where Batman operates?
Huh.
So it's all like it's a lot of them like arriving upon like crime scenes where all the Batman action has already happened, and they'll just be like, Mr. Freeze knocked out and like a guy frozen in place, and they'd be like, "Oh, Batman left another mess for us."
Yeah.
So maybe like when it's that gritty real superhero world with like Batman, maybe not as cool to be a cop.
Yeah.
But like in Marvel world where there's like superheroes everywhere and they've got amazing powers, definitely would be very relaxing.
Oh, yeah. You've seen The Boys, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed The Boys.
Oh, yeah, a friend of my ex recommended it to us, and I watched the first episode, and I was like, what a man show. And then I kept going.
A real show for a real man.
Show for men. And then I kept watching, and I was like, no, this is great. I had a point with that.
What's your point, Zoe?
I don't know.
You can't just bring up The Boys.
Go
nowhere with it.
That in a society like ours, super abled people would probably be a big issue.
Well, that's you haven't read Watchmen, right? The comic, yeah.
No,
well, that's what Watchmen was all about, and why it was such a groundbreaking work, because it said, like superheroes in the real world would probably be fascists. I mean,
right.
Because they're humans with human brains, even if they have superpowers, and humans, when you give them a whole shit ton of power, tend to get pretty fashy pretty quick.
So I have a question. Do you think that a person's humanity is their downfall? Like, do you think that because they have human brains, they revert to fascism? Like, is that the point here?
Well, meaning that, that they still, I'm just saying they still have to deal with being a human. I just like, that absolute power corrupts absolutely. Right. That old yarn that like, I mean, if they were superpowered and they didn't have our attitudes and inclinations, it might be totally different. I don't know.
Right.
But they don't. They're humans.
Yeah.
They're superhumans.
Yeah.
And so everything is superized. Everything is heightened. And exaggerated, even they're not so, they're kind of toxic human picadillos.
Yeah.
So Milkman says once they gain power, they get very over themselves, or maybe into themselves.
Yeah.
Probably.
I assume that's what.
I wish superheroes would get over themselves. Take it easy, Soups.
I just have. It's like. It seems like a moral question of like when a person, say a human brain, develops power like this, what do you do?
Well, and I think it depends on what point in the person's life does the power develop.
Right.
Like, I mean, going back to Spider-Man, in the original
child.
origin, he's a child. He's a very young teenager. He's not so mature. He's a social outcast. You know, he feels very put upon. Flash Thompson gives him a bop on the nose every day and takes his spider lunch money or whatever. And yeah, and so when he gets powers initially, he's a big fucking piece of shit. That's one of the best things about the Spider-Man origin, the story. That's why he's one of my favorite characters, is because they acknowledge that right out of the gate. Of like this young, you know, guy who feels very put out by the world, gets powers. Of course, immediately he's like, ha ha! Yeah. Now I'm powerful and fuck you, everybody. And he goes and like fucks with the bully and like hangs him upside down or something. And he goes. And, you know, it's like fucking with everybody. And then, like, a TV producer is like, wow, you can climb walls. You ought to be on TV. And then puts him on. He's like, hell yeah, I'll be on TV. Give me that TV money. And he gets rich and he's famous. He's just like a jerk on TV. He doesn't save anyone initially. Right. He just, like, walks around on the wall in front of a camera. And everyone's like, hooray. And he's like, ah. And then he has a chance to stop a criminal. Guy's robbing some other guy and running off. And the guy's like, stop that crook. And Spider-Man's like, not my responsibility, mister. And then his Uncle Ben dies as a result of that. So that I think most of them don't. Most superhero stories don't really acknowledge that how that power can be corrupting, and that the only reason Spider-Man wasn't just a big fucking jerk forever, just showing off and collecting paychecks, was because he suffered this horrible tragedy. Yeah. And suddenly was like, oh crap! And because he was taught by someone else, by a loved one, a father figure, that hey man, when you got a bunch of power, that comes with a bunch of responsibility. Yeah. It's a great lesson. It is a great lesson. And I'm glad so many kids are exposed to it. I just wish they'd actually internalize it and practice it in the world.
It's really easy to remove yourself from those situations. Greg wants to know if we've seen Invincible.
Greg?
Greg wants to know if we've seen Invincible.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't, because everyone's name is the same color. Yes, we have watched, I've also read a great deal of the comics. I love Invincible. Probably my favorite modern superhero comic. Really great writing. I haven't read the comics.
You showed me the first couple episodes.
Yes, we should finish that.
We should finish that.
Yeah, but I thought the show was really good. I thought it was a really true, very true to the spirit of the comic. And I liked the little changes they made too. I thought they did a good job of restructuring it for a season of television. And just I love the premise of Invincible is so strong, and it definitely ties into the stuff we're talking about So I wouldn't say like humanity is the downfall necessarily of them, but that like their cultural context, how they've been educated, how they've been raised, is like the deciding factor.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, and I've said this before on stream. I think humanity has a natural inclination toward, I don't want to use the word peace, because there's this sort of like grandiose idea we have around peace of like people sitting around a fire singing Kumbaya, but I think like it is our natural inclination to make things make sense.
Sure.
And I think in a peaceful reality, things are working and making sense. So our natural inclination is to go in that direction. Yeah. So it's difficult to then also grapple with the fact that humanity corrupts and those
or power
power corrupts, but humanity. If we weren't humans, our power wouldn't corrupt. Like if you give a machine a bunch of power, it's not corrupted.
It just sits there buzzing.
Too much power on the PlayStation, it blows up. Exactly. But yeah, so it's a really interesting sort of back and forth of like, where does the sort of middle ground lie? Where can we have a certain amount of power as human beings? Because, now there's this whole thing going on with people talking about, regaining your power or keeping your power. And there's that sort of...
How so?
There's the power over other people, and then there's like the power within yourself.
Yeah, like you mean like self-empowerment.
Self-empowerment, exactly.
Yes,
and
Well, and it's, I'll say too, on the topic of power, I mean, it's one of the biggest issues, I think, in a lot of the current political discourse, is like, right-wingers tend to be better at going after power and getting it. Like on the left, I think there's a lot of feeling that like having power is bad,
right,
in and of itself, which is not true. Because just look at Spider-Man.
Yeah.
When you have power and you do nice things with it, power is fucking great.
Great. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you didn't interrupt. Yeah. I was having a whole train of thought. But yeah, I just think it's a weird sort of moral and what's the word I'm looking for?
Social?
Yeah. Question of where do we make the connection between like personal empowerment and power over others, and where do we want to stop gaining power? Yeah. Because there's a certain level of power where it just stops being okay.
Yeah, for sure. No, there's powers that probably no individual should have.
Yeah, and I feel like it's not a very empowering position to be in, to have that much power.
Right. Yeah.
Internally.
I imagine it's a major weight to carry on your shoulders, having that much power.
Yeah, I can't imagine that feels good.
No,
I can't imagine these people are happy who have too much power.
No, I think, there's a lot of that in the world of humans love to go after things they think they want, and then they get them, and then they're like, oh, I'm still sad.
This can't
I know I've done it. It's one of my favorite activities.
Yeah, every time I like make a goal for myself and then I achieve that goal, I'm like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Like, now what? Yeah, I mean, we learned that a little bit in Landmark and otherwise. That whole idea of you can't just be like, once I get here, I'll be happy. Mm-hmm. Once I achieve this goal, I'll be happy.
Well, because life is a mountain with no peak.
Yeah.
Well, unless you count death.
I am just simply so excited for that one day.
Yeah?
I'm
excited to see what's in the afterlife?
I am. I'm really excited.
Well, I think that's better than being afraid.
I used to be, and I'm a hypochondriac. And I always think I'm dying.
I must stay healthy.
And I need to stay healthy.
Yeah.
I was a pretty miserable teenager, and then I, messed up my brain chemicals a little bit when I was like 19.
Just a little, just a smidge.
Just a smidge, and then
gave him a little jostle.
I just sort of tossed them around for a few years, and then I became a hypochondriac. I would go into work and go up to my boss and be like, if I have a pain in my upper leg, I think it's a blood clot and I need to go home. And my boss would be like, please stop.
Yeah. Well, nothing's worse for blood clots than working in a restaurant. You just gotta go home. Just lie down for a while.
Death is I don't know, like, it scared me forever, and now it's just like, what else?
What else?
What else is going on here?
There's still a lot of stuff to explore.
I know, like,
here
I'm
on
not
the earthly
like,
plane.
oh, gotta die now, but I'm curious, damn it.
Yeah, hey, I think it's good to be at peace with it, no doubt. I like that we got from Spider-Man all the way to death.
Yeah.
And the nature of life.
Yeah, I mean, circling back to Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of death in Spider-Man's life in the comics.
There's a lot of death in a lot of superheroes' life.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty...
It's
There's a lot of death in, like, every entertainment character's life.
It's almost as if life and death are intertwined somehow.
Oh! Are you making the assumption that everything that lives dies?
That everything that dies lives again in one form or another? I just might be making that assumption. But yeah, Spider-Man. Love that guy. What a fantastic...
Is Spider-Man your favorite superhero?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. No, well, because of the philosophy.
Okay, yeah.
With great power
I like that.
Great responsibility. And also, the other thing I like... Because, like, again, I love... Like, Batman's probably my number 2. Mm-hmm. But the thing about Batman is, like, I think he's really, like, cool and badass.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with Batman for me. He's so brooding.
Yeah, he sneaks around in the dark, and everyone's like, Batman! How'd you get here?
I like that he doesn't kill anyone.
Well, yeah, I like that he doesn't kill anyone. But Batman has that weird thing, especially in the more modern iterations of Batman, and Zack Snyder and video game Batman, is...
That's how we roll.
Yes, Milkman, yes. Just death. Anyway, Spider-Man. But yeah, the thing about modern Batman that that makes me less, that knocks him down number 2 for me is that he's like, I don't, like, no killing, never kill, no kill, no kill, no kill. And then he's just like ripping guys' arms out of their sides, snapping bones.
Yeah, I mean, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, he's like, oh, I didn't kill it. It's like just like he walks away from a crime scene and it's just a slew of battered, broken bodies. And I just imagine like these thugs just spending months in physical therapy, trying to recover from their one night. Like some guy like that moves to Gotham, desperate poor man. It's just like, oh, maybe I could make it work in Gotham. I don't know. And he gets there and he's like, my job won't pay me. Oh, and I got fired for a weird reason. And then like the Penguin comes along. He's like, hey, you want to work for me and be a thug and be a penguin boy or whatever Penguins guys are called? You want to be an ice boy? And he's like, I guess I'm so hungry. And then he works for the Penguin for like a couple weeks. And he's like at the Iceberg Lounge one night, just like, cleaning up after some mess the Penguin made. And then Batman busts in. And he's like, I'm here to fight penguin thugs. And the guy's like, oh, I guess that's my job. And then Batman just beats him down the ground and snaps his knee out and rolls him into the pier, into the river. I don't know. And this
so Batman is your second favorite superhero.
Yes. Yes.
Got it.
Because it is funny.
It is funny.
And I love a good fist fight.
I do also.
It is very hilarious he's like, but I didn't kill anyone. Whereas Spider-Man is like, tries to not do anything too extreme.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man is very much don't kill anybody, but he's also like, you don't have to, you don't have to cripple them for life. You don't have to brutalize them.
Right.
So that's why I like, and because with great power comes great responsibility. And I should say because his power set is the fucking coolest.
Spider-Man's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the coolest power set.
Yeah.
And yet somehow all thematic, like what other hero has such a dynamic, robust power range, and none of it is just like slapped on, contrived bullshit. You know?
It's just like what powers would be cool. Here's
for a
name.
spider.
Yeah.
And the idea that like he has the proportional strength of a spider
that is very
so cool.
I remember learning about that. I remember seeing that for the first time in the first Tobey Maguire movie.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool.
It's such a fun concept because you realize like, if a spider was the size of a man, he could throw shit around and be super strong.
Yeah, it's
really
not
good.
strength for the sake of strength, but actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah. I like
strength,
that.
Agility, webs, sticking to things, spidey sense. He's got so much going on.
Yeah.
Love Spider-Man.
We love a tangent over here on the Casey and Zoe thing, okay?
We're all about
we love a tangent.
A dark tangent.
We love a dark tangent.
Because that's what life is all about, dark tangents.
Spider-Man was Stan Lee's favorite. That I think I did know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Stan knows what's up.
Stan does know what's up.
Rest in peace, Stan the Man Lee. Love that guy.
I don't know if I have a favorite superhero.
Yeah, good question. Who's your favorite superhero?
I don't know if I have one. I don't know. When I started watching superhero stuff when I was younger, I didn't love it because I was just like, this just feels like soldiers, but
well, when you were younger, the quality was a lot lower.
This is true.
Yeah.
I told you this recently. I did just watch all of the MCU movies in a row, which was fun. It was a fun experience. Thanks, pandemic.
Yeah. But what you say, it is a conundrum that, like,
Yeah, I just feel like soldiers.
A lot of superheroes
more
are soldiers.
That.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't. Okay.
And that's
what are you really fighting for most of the time?
Right.
And it would frustrate me. So I was like, I didn't want to idolize that. And as I've gotten older, I could see like a lot of superhero stories are sort of telling a different story. Mm-hmm. But I think just like the concept of some human that's able to hurt people better.
Yes.
It's not a thing that I was so attracted to.
Yeah, well, and I remember I read an article a long time ago, and I'm forgetting where it was, but it was making the point that, superheroes, most of them, they have this like superpower that no one talks about, which is like the power to never beat up the wrong person. They're like it's so rarely like they're just running around just beating ass everywhere they go, and almost never is there like hey, you got the wrong guy, or hey, you got confused. It's like
They fix the cop problem.
Right. It's like if you're Superman and you make a mistake, like it could be horrible. So many people could die.
Yeah.
So they just don't deal with that. They're just like Superman is just just doesn't make mistakes. He's just got a very good judgment.
And that's another thing that I don't love about superheroes because I'm like, okay, then I don't see that as a person.
Right. Yeah. Well, Superman is very hard to write. Usually he has to make. Well,
Superman is technically not a person, which is fine.
He has to like make like social like relationship mistakes because he can't do anything wrong with his powers.
Yeah, he can't make superpower mistakes.
Although I'm sure there's a bunch of like postmodern storylines now probably that I haven't read where like he accidentally shoots his heat vision through a hospital or something and then they're like, Superman, why? And then he has to like grapple with the emotions. Probably. But yeah.
I just had like a brain blip of One Punch Man.
One Punch Man. Yeah.
That might be a good superhero.
It is. Well, that's very.
His whole thing is a moral qualm.
It's an anime satire. So.
Yeah. And I think it's probably why I think it's good because it's satirizing.
Yeah. Anyone in chat seen One Punch Man? A fantastic anime about a superhero who's so powerful he kills everyone with one punch. He's very sad about it.
He's so upset.
He doesn't know what to do with his life because all he wants is a challenge. But every time he's like one punch, they're done. It's a great show.
It is a great show. It's very funny.
Yeah,
it's funny. You also got me into anime.
Yes,
which I've also said on stream.
And you're right, Milkman. Captain America is a super soldier, literally.
And the Captain America movies are America porn.
They are America porn, but I do appreciate that, like one of my favorite things in the Captain America trilogy is at the end of Winter Soldier when he disobeys his orders.
Yes.
And a bunch of people at S.H.I.E.L.D., when it's like, it comes down to the moment of like, what are you going to do, follow orders or do what is obviously the right thing? And Cap and many people in S.H.I.E.L.D. choose to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that makes me respect Captain America. I feel like Captain America at his best is an emblem of what America could be versus what it is. And I didn't like Captain America at all when I was a kid. I was like, this guy, what is his deal? He's got a shield. What else? Strong? Give me a Spider-Man comic. But then his more modern iteration, and in the MCU, I think they did a good job of making a Captain America I can get behind.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Hey, thanks. I hope everyone at home is very happy for me.
Chris Evans can get behind me.
MCU. Woo! How is it that you, a gay woman, all your jokes about sex so far have been about dudes?
I think, I like to look at men. They're like nice
so
to look.
Do
it's
I.
like a painting.
Especially Chris Evans. I mean, he's a cutie
Listen,
pie.
if Chris Evans did get behind me, I'd be really upset about it.
Okay.
But I like to think about
Just
that.
A little, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, nice.
Your own private fantasy you can control.
But if it ever happened, I'd be terrible.
I love Chris. Chris Evans is too cute.
Apparently, he's super nice too.
Yeah, like I'm mostly straight, but like if Chris Evans was like came up to me at a bar and was like, "Hey, you want to smooch?" I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, I want to smooch." Chris Evans.
I think with no qualms, I would smooch Chris Evans.
Yeah, I'd smooch all the Avengers. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Right? Are there any Avengers you wouldn't smooch?
You know, I'd only smooch Mark Ruffalo because of 13 going on 30. I don't know. I just love that, like, soft man. And going on 30. So I would give the Hulk a smooch.
Oh yes, I would give the Hulk a smooch. And yes, Milkman says Captain Dinner Plate. He's just throwing a dinner plate around. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Come on, super soldier, get out of here.
But yeah, should we go to the land of Fortnite? Has the time come?
You know, I want to address this.
Let's talk a little more about.
I want to address this because now we're talking about my favorite subject, which is cute boys. I don't understand, and it might be because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
There's this whole thing right now about Ryan Reynolds being like every man's like my
boy?
Only man that I would be gay for. I don't get it.
Okay.
I don't get it. Do you get it?
Do I get? Well, I think Ryan
Reynolds as a mostly straight man.
I think Ryan Reynolds is cute.
I think
he's a cute guy. He's like the fact that he's always kind of been doing a Jim Carrey impression makes him less attractive to me.
I've never thought of that.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of his thing. He's the GQ Jim Carrey.
Wow.
Um,
Well, now I'm like going over everything in my head, and I'm seeing it.
And I love you, Ryan. Ryan, if you ever see
Jim
this, I
Carrey.
love you. You're a lot of fun. No offense, but yeah. I would smooch Jim
I
Carrey.
would totally smooch Jim Carrey.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just don't
Sassy
understand.
boy.
I don't understand the Ryan Reynolds
Hey,
hype.
different strokes for different folks.
Because I also understand like the look of a sexy man that is more appealing to men than it is to women. Like this
Sure.
whole like washboard abs, like all of that stuff. That's in my New York accent. Oops. That is more appealing to men than women.
Because it's a power fantasy.
It's a power
Yeah,
fantasy.
yeah.
It's for the dudes.
It's like, imagine if I had that cute tummy.
And I don't know if I think Ryan Reynolds is like that, like Jason Momoa, like sexy strong, like you know what I mean. I'm just so curious as to why so many men love Ryan Reynolds.
I'm
I guess
fixing
it's.
Zoe's headphones.
I think I have to just take
they're
them
a
off.
little.
Yeah.
That's not the best. There you go.
I've been slapping them out of the thing.
Yeah, so we don't pull the microphone over while we're talking.
Listen, it's gonna happen one day. It's a
No!
rite of passage.
It's never gonna happen.
It's a rite of passage.
It's never gonna happen.
If I break the microphone,
My rite of
I'll
passage.
be upset, but I'll laugh a little bit.
His microphone never falls over. That's the
Yeah,
rite of passage.
I don't see it. And I think a lot of other women don't see it. And I'm also, yes, I'm
Sure.
a woman who likes women, but like I know a lot of women who like men who don't see it.
So, as a woman who likes women, who's the sexiest movie star man?
Movie star man.
To your gay eyes.
I used to really like Bradley Cooper.
Interesting.
I used to think Bradley Cooper was really sexy.
Do you get a feminine vibe from him, or is it not? Is that?
I
just
don't
not part
know.
of
It was a lot of it was the eyes. But I'm
Yeah,
trying
you're
to
very
think.
into eyes.
I am very into eyes.
Yeah.
Eyes and teeth.
Eyes and teeth.
Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head. Like I can think of women off the top of my head, and they're all like middle-aged.
Sure, that's easy.
Middle-aged drama actors.
That's easy.
It's just like a Kate Blanchett,
Yeah,
like a,
you're
a
boring.
classic.
Whatever, lesbian, we know.
The Grinch, that's the one. Actually, Jim Carrey is super hot to me.
Okay.
I think Jim Carrey is cute.
For sure.
Yeah, I there are a lot of men in movies that I think are very attractive while I'm watching the film. But I can't think off the top of my head where I'm like, that's a hot man.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'd have to watch a film and get back to you.
Yeah. Well, go watch more movies.
Go watch
Jesus.
more goddamn movies.
Go watch more movies with men in them.